I think so because a lot of these tier two players, they're like skill wise, they're already pretty good. Like they can play individually.
Fucking nobody agrees to play with me except for those same people. I'm like, hey, you guys want to play? They're like, yeah, maybe like in a couple of years.
Yeah, but if you win, you're not gonna learn anything from just keep on winning, right? You're gonna
Hmm.
learn a lot more
Yeah.
from like losing to higher competitive players. Like,
They should have, well, like all the people that are starting with the balls at opening rush, they should all have like relatively equal pressure. Because if you have one person moving too far up,
What's up, guys? Welcome to 321 Dodgeball Podcast. My name is James.
I'm Gino.
I'm Enzo.
Sung.
All right, so we are your cast for today. We're missing Raph and Debs. Debs is traveling in Japan. She's in Japan right now for about a week. This is going to be a very informal, casual Dodgeball podcast. We are not in the same room recording, video recording as usual. Right now, we are just all in our own houses on Discord. And we're going to talk about a bunch of different things Dodgeball related, shooting the shit. And I guess Enzo will take it over from here with the topics that he wants to lead off with.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about a couple of dodgeball related things, and the topic of gender roles came up, and I just want to like listen to what you guys think about traditional like the gender roles in dodgeball. How like I guess the guys throw and the girls are sweeping and catching, and basically, is there any way around that? And if it could be improved?
Mm, I think there's definitely ways to improve it. Like you just like, I think it's for me just teamwork. You gotta throw with the girls, right? So at least that way they can have a chance to throw. So at least that way they're not always like sitting in the back or like trying to catch or like what they usually call like squirrels, being squirrels or whatever. You know, I think that's one way to
Sorry,
like.
what's that term
That's a term?
from?
That was like a
Squirrels?
squirreling. Like it's a really old term. I think it's like really like what I heard of back then. That's what people, well, not even just girls, just like what people did in the background. Squirreling is pretty much just like going around picking up balls and giving it to everybody else.
Oh,
Interesting.
I never heard that term before.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Uh, excuse me.
Yeah, because it does seem like a lot of times the girls don't really throw.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, I don't think it's just the girls don't really get to throw. It's more like whoever has the best throw throws, and they just happen to not be girls
Hmm.
on a lot of teams. I would argue on some teams the girls do get to throw. Like I remember a lot of teams that Monica is on.
Hmm.
She's sometimes starts with the ball. So I just kind of want to address that. It's not that girls don't get to throw. It's just that the people that throw the hardest get to throw.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And me and James tend to not get to throw. You know?
Especially when we're on the bench.
Yes.
yeah.
We fill a very important niche.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
It depends on, I think, like how competitive the team is. Teams that are really competitive and want to win, basic strategy is that if your throw is a liability, don't throw. And even like with Enzo and I, like we choose not to throw because our throws are a liability. But in most cases, girls don't have as hard a throw as guys do, so they don't throw as much, but they still want to contribute to the team. So that's where sweeping, catching, blocking, and the other stuff that's not throwing related becomes an important factor. So I guess with gender roles specifically, it's whatever is best for the team. It does get shitty at times when there's certain players on teams that they tell the girls, "Hey, don't throw." I think that's not really cool.
Hmm.
Everybody should be able to do whatever they kind of like want to do on the court. If they feel like throwing, throw. But just for the sake of the team, just throw smartly and whatnot.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree with that. I don't believe in the girls aren't allowed to throw strategy. Because let's say there's two girls left on your team, they don't get to throw all season. They're not gonna have that practice in, and eventually they're still gonna have to throw, right?
Yeah.
So I don't agree with the girls don't throw. I do think that you need to practice throwing with the girls because your timing is gonna be off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
And you gotta know how much later you need to throw behind the girls, and the communication still needs to be there where you guys are throwing at the same targets. And I just think in like sweeping and catching, like everybody should be doing that. Nobody should be not sweeping, not catching.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Wow, so there's no other opinions. Everybody's on the same page.
Well, everyone, I think like all four of us are on the same page. I just
Yeah.
want to add that, like during regular week, I think Enzo and James already mentioned that ultimately do what's best for your team because like female players, like I know a lot of players that are capable of throwing harder than like most of the guys, and like some of the female players that I played in like tier 1 level, like Giselle Yams, like they're capable of destroying an entire team by himself. So I think the idea of female players should play more of a support role, I think it's really outdated.
Oh yeah. Well, anybody at this point can play a support role, right? Like that's the thing. If you want to
Yeah.
be a well-versed player, you got to learn everything, right?
Yeah.
So like even on my teams, like any team I try to go on, like I like throwing with the girls because it's just like it gives it a better balance for the whole team. So that way, like yeah, okay, guys are throwing a lot more, but like it gives everybody a chance to like throw. It's like it's a better team dynamic for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good practice.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Like you can practice all you want, like before the games, after the games, but during the actual game itself, like it's a whole new different ball game just because like there's more pressure, you're sweating, and then you might like choke and whatnot. So if the girls aren't practicing their throws during game, then when it comes down to playoffs and whatnot, it's going to be a lot more pressure, more difficult for them when it comes down to them actually having to throw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have
Ultimately,
you guys
at the
ever
end of the
like?
day,
Sorry, go ahead.
just adding, like, ultimately, at the end of the day, like, everyone should have an opportunity to, like, have fun, do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, they can improve their own game. Like, regular week, it's a time period before playoffs where you can, like, experiment and work on stuff that your team needs to improve for playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And, sorry, Enzo, you were about to say something?
Oh, I don't really remember what I was gonna say. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody should be able to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Depending on what the team result is, like you might have to like tweak it a bit. For this TOC, I was only able to play round robin because of an injury. But every time I was playing and I saw my teammates on the court and I had a ball, I'm like, oh, Giselle, Aminta, here you go. You guys can throw because you guys are better throwers than me. So whatever is best for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to do what the team needs
Yeah.
and just kind of being a team player.
Yeah.
You know what? If you're not given the opportunities to throw, then I would say in your own time, just practice throwing and try to get better. I don't like the idea that like if you don't get to do something, then you kind of just sit there and complain about the game. Like if I don't get to throw, then I'm gonna do my best to practice throwing, and eventually, hopefully, I'll get there. At the moment, I still am not. And throw still, but it's all right. Yeah, I don't know. Use that as motivation to get better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this goes
I
for
was thinking
guys
of the.
too. So.
Oh, I was talking about me, like the whole time.
Oh, okay.
And I was thinking of an analogy. It's kind of like if you have like a tall person playing basketball and like all they do is like sit outside and shoot threes, then they're not getting rebounds and stuff, right? Like it's not that they're not allowed to, but you got to play to your strengths
Yeah.
and do whatever helps the team, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't just throw out like a bunch of shooters out there and expect to win. You gotta be well rounded. Everybody be able to do a little bit of everything, contribute, sacrifice.
Just to sum it
Yeah,
up,
and
like
that's it,
yeah, just to sum it up, like everybody should be able to do everything. Regular week, like we should all have equal opportunities to work on a bunch of stuff, like guys, female. Yeah, don't even if you don't declare your gender, they should be able to sweep, block, play support, play aggressive, have abundance of opportunities to throw. Then, by experimenting, you'll find out like what's the best dynamic, best position for your team, and just going to playoffs like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would strongly suggest people listening, if you want to get better, just do whatever you want to get better during the season and during the playoffs. If you know your throw's not as good as somebody else's, and that's when winning matters, then you pass the ball up or whatever. But in the regular season, just practice. Use that time efficiently because 10 weeks isn't really that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you play only one night.
Yeah. But 10 weeks, all 4 nights is fucking
Oh,
Yeah,
marathon.
That's a trek.
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you guys think holds a player back from getting into tier 1 or improving? Like I see a lot of players that want to get better, and I think they're, I don't know, practicing inefficiently or something like that. But what
Sorry,
do you
can you
think
repeat that
is the
again? You were
big-
cutting off.
So, how to improve efficiently? What do you think holds a player back from getting better or getting picked up on good teams?
Ooh, this one's
This was yeah, it's a little tough.
this one might be a while. There's a lot of variances too. For me, I think what holds a lot of players back from like being top of tier 2 and just getting to tier 1, that's pretty much the gist of it, right? We're talking about like the tier 2 players, the ones that are really good for tier 2, but then when they get to tier 1, it's like, oh fuck, they're in between. They're like, oh, we can't really compete up here, but then we're already pretty good in tier 2. Is that what we're?
Yeah, like the people that stomp tier 2, but then when they get to tier 1, they get stomped.
They get stomped. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me it's, oh shit, this one's tough, but it's playing the same people over and over again. Like for us tier 1 players, we know how we play, and then we can just compete just because like we know each other's strengths and weaknesses. But then when the tier 2 players, the ones that come up, and then start getting into like the tier 1 games, they don't know how a lot of us play, and that's where the experience comes in. I think and also it's experience too, because then when they're always shifting from like maybe playing only 3 weeks in tier 1, then going back to tier 2, playing another 3 weeks, it goes back and forth. They're not seeing the same challenges all the time, and they can't. It's harder for them to adjust and get used to like the style of the tier 1 players. So then they get stomped, but then they already know the tier 2 players. That's
So
what I think one of the big.
Are you saying it's familiarity against the players they're playing against?
I think so, because a lot of these tier 2 players, they're like skill wise, they're already pretty good. Like they can play individually against tier 1 players, but then when their teams come up, then the team isn't familiar with certain players in tier 1, and what they do in like certain teams and whatnot, then they get demolished just because they're not, like you said, they're not familiar, they're not experienced in playing against tier 1 players.
But I would argue that the tier 1 teams don't know the other players too, right? It kind of goes both ways. Then how come the tier 1 teams are still winning?
It's because the style of play in tier 1 is more patient.
Okay. So
Right.
it's the style.
I think it's the style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I add something on James?
Of
Because
course.
like some of the things I can relate to it when I first started playing Tier 1 VDL.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Well, first of all, my first season playing in Tier 1 for the entire season, that was very beneficial for me because, like, until then, there wasn't, like, there wasn't a lot of good competition, like, Tier 1 level, so it was a culture shock up there, too. Um, there were players that kept on destroying me every week, and I'm like, oh, how do I get this person out? I don't really get it. But after talking with a lot of other Tier 1 players, they told me, oh, go for a shin, or oh, that player has the tendency to reach out if you throw at this area. So it kind of forced me to think more critically and be more observant on what the other players are doing too. And I think one of the things that holds a lot of players back is a lot of players feel intimidated, like playing against an entire Tier 1 team. The more opportunities you get, like playing against them, like you kind of get immune to it, you kind of get used to it, and was it you get to experiment, oh, what works in like very high, like Tier 1 level, and also it can be a confidence booster for you to compete in a high level, like if you do manage to like get that other player out or just play really well against like some of the players that you really you looked up to like when you started.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is also for me like um, when I first started off, like some of my teammates were afraid to go up to tier one because they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna get demolished." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but if you win, you're not gonna learn anything from just keep on winning, right? You're gonna learn a lot more
Yeah,
from like losing to higher competitive players, like completely."
yeah.
So like,
Yeah, sorry. The generation change or like the new generate, cause like I look at you guys as like OG tier oneers from my perspective, cause you guys played tier one like but well probably like when I started playing dodgeball, but a lot of these like newer faces in tier one dodgeball, tier one VDL dodgeball, they had the same mentality of, oh, I don't care if I get destroyed in tier one, like I would rather get destroyed in tier one than win tier two. So they kind of have that competitive drive
yeah,
pushing
Yeah.
them forward. So I think that's a very important attribute to have if you want to compete at a high level.
Yeah, to supplement what Sung said, that's exactly what happened with me. And when I first started playing in Tier 1, like we got fucking stomped every week. Um, our goal was to get 2 wins,
mm-hmm.
and you start from there. You get a couple wins here and there, and then when you get killed, or like when you guys get like murdered by the other teams, you figure out what went wrong. Like if they're just like throwing harder than you, if they're just like out being more patient than you or whatever. I think it's important to talk about it with your team, seeing where you can improve and being receptive of criticism. Uh, yeah, just kind
Yeah.
of finding a niche of what you're good at and being really good at whatever you're good at. And if you can find one thing you're good at, just try to be the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that one. Yes, yes, yes.
Like, uh, I mean, everybody knows I don't throw so good, so I try to be
What?
like, yeah, you're right, I'm pretty good. Anyways, yeah, I try to be like the best, uh, I guess, coach on the court to let my team know like how many balls we have, like who we should throw at, and kind of just rally everybody and kind of soak balls and stuff. Just find what you're good at, right? For like, let's say Kevin Young, like his goal was to just stay alive and get kills. Like that's all we asked of him. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually, once you get good at that, then you build the next thing. And now eventually, Kevin is learning how to catch and you know doing other things as well.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
So
like,
sorry, just
oh
go
yeah.
on, go on, sorry.
No, no, go, go, go.
Go. I was just gonna sum it up. So you go on.
Oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say there's skill wise there's only so much you can do in terms of like how hard you can actually throw. You're not no one's gonna throw like 90 or 100 miles per hour, so like don't try to think that I'm gonna be like the hardest thrower or whatever. You gotta also focus on like what your body's actually limited to allowing you to do. And so based off of that, you got to look at other areas where you can improve on. Um, a lot of the times people focus on like I want to be the best catcher, I want to be the best thrower and whatnot, but then they're focusing on their just individual play. But if they help their team get better, that's when you get noticed a lot more because you're doing stuff for the team. Skill wise, it's harder to really stand out, especially for like a tier two wanting to get to a tier one team, or if you're a tier two player trying to get noticed by other tier one players to get joined on their team. The best thing, like in my opinion, what I look for is I look for a person that helps the team out rather than, oh, this guy's got a strong arm or this person can do this and that individually. But if they can help their team in general, then that's something that can help them get noticed to potentially join a tier one team. It's at a point right now where there's so many good tier one players that it's really hard for a whole tier two team to go up to tier one and like stay there just because there's so many good established teams almost playing every night. But it'll take some time for you to actually help your team to stay up in tier one, and that's when you start getting noticed more. But if you're a team that constantly goes from tier two to tier one, it's going to be hard to get noticed just because you're not often seen a lot by the tier one players.
Do you think it's better to have those 16 team tiers or what we have now with the 12 teams?
I
Do
don't
you think
mind
that's better for
12.
growth?
16. Well, it really depends on how deep the competition is, right? Because like some feedbacks that I got while I was execing were, if the tier system is too big during regular season, a lot of the people that are ranked lower in their tier, they don't like so just some of them, they don't really have that competitive drive and they're not having fun. So it's like finding a good like median for who wants to play competitive and who wants to not play as competitive. I thought 12 was really good, or we have 12 right now, right? Because it's a good mix of, we don't play the exact same team like every single night unless like they request the same time slot. But it kind of forces the 13th and 14th team to like play better in order to get back to like tier 1 level again. So I think what we have right now is good.
I think in theory, whether it's 12 or 16 teams, it's totally fine. But, and this is something that logistically probably can't happen because of schedule requests and execs being on certain gyms and time slots. But if it was like there's 4 teams per time slot, if you had like two legit tier 1 teams and then 2 up and coming teams, that makes it like for every time slot, that makes it more balanced, because sometimes you'll have a time slot where it's just like 4 really strong tier 1 teams and then like another gym time slot has 4 like not so strong, so those 4 not so strong ones, they're only competing against each other and they're not really seeing like the tier 1 caliber type of thing. But if it was balanced all the time, that's why in theory it could work like that. But it's virtually impossible.
Too many factors.
Yeah,
like you said.
But yeah, I mean, like for me, it's mostly just work as a team. Then you'll get noticed more. That's how you'll bump yourselves up there and maybe sustain a tier 1 slot with your team or an upcoming team later on. But because you can be really good individually, but if your team doesn't make it, then you're not really gonna get noticed as much.
Just that for me, it's a competitive drive, and if you do manage to get into tier 1, making the most out of the experience that you get, like finding out what works, what doesn't work, and just be very smart. Like look at the entire court, what's happening, build your court IQ. At the same time, like hone your individual skill too. But wait, sorry. The question was how to improve efficiently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we answer that?
Not
feel like we're-
exactly.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well,
I don't really mind that we're going off topic.
okay.
But how would you say like you improve like to improve efficiently?
So, good competition was biggest for me. Like
Hmm.
being able to like consistently or like play against like tier oneers like every single night. That was well for my body. It was really painful. My first season playing all tier one teams, but um, it was really fun, and I think getting used to it, it kind of like helped me step up my game.
I would say like play more nights and go through those summer drop-ins as much as you can. Um, that's how I improved. Like I talked to a bunch of like tier one players, mostly like Debs, Brandon. I think James helped me out a bit too. Win, um, all those people like I met in early on stage of my like dodgeball career. I guess I don't know if you want to call it career, but yeah, I think just like talking to people. Just playing more nights really, that's a big thing, and also playing with different people as much as you can too. That's what helped me out a lot more to be like to improve a lot faster than I should have.
Yeah. So sorry, just one thing I just remembered. Playing against like really good people, then finding out the criteria for yourself, then just like working on those. I think that was
What
the
do you mean by
biggest. That was my
criteria?
mindset. If my throws were weak, like I would make sure that season I'll work on it. Um, just like whatever was lacking, for me individually as a player, I would like. I would obviously work on other stuff, but I would even go to like local recreation center to like just work on that individual skill.
Hmm.
Like allocate probably like 80% of my time. Because back when I started, my throwing really sucked, and I'm at tier one, everybody was catching me, or I was missing, and I was wasting a lot of balls, and that was pretty significant to the result of the game. So I remember like one season I was working on it, and another season I'm like, oh, look at Rob Shee, he's catching a lot. I can like maybe or Dolphy, maybe like I should probably work on my catching too, and just finding a criteria for yourself and just working on those to a level where you're confident that it works in higher level.
What's interesting now is that when people are building teams, they build based off of like I think they start off with position first or like what they're looking for. Like, hey, we need two strong throwers or we need a couple of catchers or whatever. It was different back then. Back then it was just like, yeah, we just need like strong throwers only or just like an all-around player. But now when people are building teams, it's built it's got its own structure of like what they need for the team specifically. Um, if a player starts to focus on like, okay, well, I mean, I want to be like one of the good catchers, so I want to focus on catching. So I mean, like to efficiently work your way up to a tier one team, based off of the criteria of how tier one teams are building their teams now. Pick a niche of what you should be or want to be good at, and then focus on that. And I think that's how you'll also get noticed as well.
Hey man, being middle's easy, guys. Just
I,
that's the easy way out, guys. Just be middle.
I still don't understand middle.
we have enough middles in tier one already.
Yeah, man, that's because middle's easy.
Yeah, if you're better than Enzo, you're gonna hit tier. No,
Yeah, it's not hard.
yeah.
Don't give the
It's
secrets
hard to
away.
play. It's hard to play a really good middle.
Yeah. Mid's a tough position.
Yes. Most players
All right,
stack.
what makes a good middle?
Oh, are we getting into this now?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. I can name one attribute. For me personally, I don't think it relates to like all the middles. For me, I think it helps if the middle can do everything, because he has to be pretty versatile and selfless on the court. like ball distribution, or if your team's in a bad position, and if you're good at surviving, you can hold on to that one ball and just like get all their attention and absorb all the balls. Or if your corner dies, you kind of have to like, most likely you'll have to replace them too. And depending on your play style, middle, from what I see, the corners get attacked first. So I think a lot of the games that I watch, middle survives the most. So they have to be very clutch or have some sort of tools in his shed to like clean the game by himself.
It's interesting from if you watch from like the lower tiers up to tier 1. For the lower tiers will focus on, like, once they get ball possession, focus on mid first. They go mid then to corners. And while in tier 1, once they get ball possession, they'll focus on corners and then go to mid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, like, when you say,
Oh, you're right.
that's when you say when usually the mid is like the last one to remain to make the clutch catch or whatever. It's because they focus on the corners first. But then in the lower tiers, they want to try to just get the balls back if they miss, so that they focus on the mid first and then get balls back and then work their way outwards. Yeah, just a side note, had really no relevance, but
No, it's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic how it works like that in the lower tiers up to the top tiers.
Why is that? Are they not as confident in their throws?
I think
so.
it's just a good way to start, because even if you miss and you're working on your aim and your throw's not so hard, like
You'll get the ball
put
back.
like 3 or 4 balls in the middle, you get the ball back.
Yeah.
I think one of the earliest things, like tier 2 teams that are making it into tier 1, the first thing they learn is ball control. If you can have ball control, you will dominate in tier 2. Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. If you learn ball control, you will make tier 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, when you move up to tier 1, that's what you bring up, because that's how you succeeded, right? So you start doing that in tier 1, but it's usually less effective because those tier 1 middles are so good at soaking up balls, and the people around them, everybody's sweeping as well. You don't really get those balls back. You got to be a little bit trickier with your throws.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Middle.
Yeah, any other attributes, Gino?
Would you have to be great at catching to be in the middle?
Nah.
Ooh, no, I don't think so.
Nah.
Trying
Not
to
great.
think.
Not great.
You have to be
A lot
like
of-
respectable,
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of
but you don't have to be
Wait.
great.
just remembering all the top middle players in my mind, they're all pretty good catchers though.
I think
That's an acquired skill.
I think
You become good catchers because you have to be, or else you don't get to play. Like, you're just first out every game if you're not.
But I think if you look at all the top middles out there, I think catching is their best skill.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that they're great at it.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to name some names?
I would say catching and blocking have to be their best.
Well, especially
Blocking.
blocking, right?
Catching, blocking, sweeping. Like, you need a combination of at least 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Throwing goes
Like-
out the window.
Like, yeah, I would argue, like, Eden Parker's catching is not, like, great, but his blocking and
His
sweeping
blocking.
are, like, top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll always get you a
Oh,
ball
okay.
back in
Yeah,
the
I
volley.
see that. Yeah.
But he's also, like, a respectable catcher, but you don't really... Like,
It's
when you
not his
think
strongest
Ian, you don't think catching, you think blocking and
Blocking.
sweeping, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And I also think, like, being at middle, like, you don't... If you can take time off and you can still be effective when you come back.
Mm-hmm.
It's because a lot of your skill is based on, like, game sense and just being selfless. Like, I mean, you can take a fucking year off and like you don't lose the ability to be selfless in the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we don't get to throw anyways, so it's not like that matters.
You don't really waste your arm the whole day.
We got fresh arms. We got fresh arms.
Yeah. Fresh arms, not fresh arms, whatever. I'm fucking dunking it.
Hard resets.
You try.
Yeah.
Trying to think. I guess like for early game, maybe like early game to mid game. I'm just trying to dissect it and analyze it. Maybe for early game, mid game, surviving and getting the ball control, and late game, at least from my opinion, it's like finishing out the games. I think that's really important. Like working with another player that's alive, or just like making that very clutch catch to bring one of your like carries back in.
Mm-hmm.
Like generally put, I think that's like from my opinion, I think that's like a good quality to have as a middle player.
For me, when I'm looking out for middle players, like I don't really care about like how good they catch or block and stuff. What makes or breaks a good middle for me is I watch what they do after the opening rush. When they're picking up that second ball, if they're passing that second ball, if they're holding on to that second ball and like throwing it right away, or if they're trying to soak balls, if they're passing the ball and, you know, as a result, like fucking over their corners, like that makes or breaks good middles for me.
Yeah.
Just like decision making, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I see Jackie as a very good middle because like he kind of does like whatever I said earlier, like early game, mid game. He can be impossible to kill, and his blocking game is really good, and his blocks are really. He makes sure when he blocks, like all the ball stays on his side, which is like really hard to do if you're not used to it. And for late game, Jackie's also like a really good thrower. He's capable of playing the corners too. So from that, if I had to name a name, I think Jackie would be one of the top middle players from my perspective. And he has a really quick wind up too, so he can easily time his throw with anyone.
I don't really see Jackie as a corner, as a middle though. I see him as a corner.
Oh, okay.
His corner one is really good.
He's capable. Yeah, he's good at corners too. But when he plays middle, like I guess
So
like I
really
only
good.
play with him at TOC. Yeah, like if he's playing
really
middle, like
good.
I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, one's his best position.
Okay.
For you two corner players, what do you think makes a good corner? And how big of a difference is there playing 1 versus playing 6?
Wait, who you calling corners?
Oh, you and Gino?
Gino, you go.
What makes a good corner? I think first and foremost is like being able to block and just you have a really good throw. That's a big thing. Your catching is gonna be, it's gotta be there, but like it's not gonna be your main attribute. What makes the difference between 1 and 6 for me is like 1, I'm really looking at. I really have to be able to like look out through the whole court, even like beside my 2, because your 2 is gonna be like you're gonna be like, it's like pretty much like they're your commander. You're gonna see how far they're up and how far you should move up at the same time. So you'll be able to should be able to see like the whole like view of the whole court. As with 6, for me, mostly I can just focus on like just straight. I don't really have to worry about like the right side as much, because my 5th would be the person beside me would have a ball too, and they should be able to defend that for me. That's how I view 1 and 6, and I feel like those are attributes I think that you should have for being a middle or a corner player.
When you play 6, do you like the third ball to start at 5 or in the middle? Or does that not really make a difference to you?
it really depends on the team. That's the team we're playing. That's the big thing. If we want to crush one, we're gonna put 2 balls on the left side right away. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just dependent on the team that against I'm playing. Like sometimes, I don't know. I can't even think of a team that I can think of that I put a ball in the middle. Probably Cream. We put a ball in the middle most of the time. Sometimes with Carson, because we have to cover like that middle spot because we're gonna ball match pretty much. That's what we're doing. So I don't know if I have a great answer for that one actually.
James, what do you look for when you are looking for corners?
Arm, yeah, arm's the obvious one. And the ability to, especially if they're going to play one, how they can survive on their own, because they usually balls 1, 5, 6, so 5 and 6 protect each other, but then the 1 is usually against the 5 and 6 on the opposite end. So their ability to survive off the opening rush is the key thing. And then arms. Other than that, they don't really have to be the best blocker or catcher. I mean, being able to do it is fine, but arm and surviving off the opening rush and not wasting a ball early off the opening rush is a key thing. So being able to hold it as well, because you're against 2 people. So even if you die, but you still keep all 3 balls, yours and then the 2 that they throw at you, then that's a pretty decent trade-off, having 3 balls off of just 1 death. And then, so I think the smartness of being able to do that off the opening rush as well is key. Mid to late game, it doesn't really matter in terms of like what a corner player needs to be able to do, because then by then like it thins out and they're just gonna stay there no matter what, and like you focus on other things because then your opponents also thin out in terms of the amount of players they have left. But off the opening rush when it's still 6-on-6, then yeah, that's what I look for. Did I get disconnected? Oh. Okay.
No, you're good.
I don't know. Wait. Going back to what you said, I always saw myself as a middle player. But generally for corners, like what you said, arm already. They have like 1 and 6. They have to be the biggest threat on that team, cause like for VDL style, like if the opposing players like throws it towards the center, like it's more likely for the balls to come back to their side. But if you have like a prime target on the corners, the balls are more likely to stay on your side, and you're kind of challenging their full peripheral vision by watching out for 1 and 6. Your maximum view. For 1 and 6, because I played those 2 roles, I think they're really different in the sense that, because I'm a right-handed player, if I play 6, I can have a better view of the court, so I can kind of like adapting to what's going on my side, because I have a better view.
Wait,
so if
sorry, you said you have a better view when you play 6?
Yeah.
6, yeah, because my body is faced towards the entire team.
It's open.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I always think I have a better view when I play 1.
1.
Yeah.
I guess it's how you set yourself up too, but basically, well, generally for right-handed players, you have your back against your entire team. So it's slightly harder to
You'll get crossed a lot easier.
Depending on where you're standing. Like if you move too far up, you have no idea what's going on your side of the court. If you're playing 1, I think you can throw a better cross. Go on.
Sorry. That's really interesting because I guess I generally try to square up against the person I'm playing against, like directly in front of me. So when I do that, wait, never mind. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I always feel like I have a better vision when I play 1 on what's happening and what's coming.
But how do
Can
you
I have
position your
wait?
body then? How is it like?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you?
I,
That's the
I'm
thing, right? And how close is your
I'm
two?
actually no, I'm actually not square to the person. I'm like almost perpendicular to the person in front of me. But I still, I don't know. That's very interesting. I have to go back and watch some videos.
So
My
one.
two, I never get my two to stand in front of me. I think it's a waste.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather them actually be behind me and like either shadow or like just stop balls. Um,
Yeah.
I guess when I play one, I want people to throw those crosses.
So at least they lose those ball control. It doesn't go back to them, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And if they hit me, then whatever. The person in front of me is gonna hit me anyways. So I, yeah, I'm gonna have to look at these videos.
Yeah. So
Sorry, go ahead.
going
Yeah.
back, they should have, well, like all the people that are starting with the balls at opening rush, they should all have like relatively equal pressure. Because if you have one person moving too far up, they're just an open target, and if you move up too far up too, like if they get hit, the balls might come back to the opposing side. It's only a very minor difference, but I feel like six has that leeway to move up an extra step in comparison to one and five, because six has like better view of what's going on the court. And if your sixes move slightly further than five, I generally think it's easier for five players to time it with six's throw. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Um,
For one and yeah, go on.
yeah, do you guys just have like whoever's on the left side call out targets and call out throw timings, or is there like a specific person that does that on your teams?
Oh, you just pair up and whatever.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, whoever has the loudest
So what
voice just
happens
shuts
when
it
you
up.
like, what happens when like two different people want to throw at two different targets?
Well, that's what
That's what communication is all about, right?
miscommunication.
Yeah,
Yeah, miscommunication happens.
we've seen that way too many times too.
Amateur hours. But what was it? Whoever you throw at, that individual player should like what was it? Make that responsible throw to not get caught, and has a good chance of getting the balls back or getting the opponent out. Like just because of miscommunication, if you do a half-ass throw and you get caught, you shouldn't blame your team. That's on you. Cause like depending on the other side is throwing a counter, I kind of have to like block that throw and leave my teammate to throw by himself. You can't really blame your teammates for that too. Sorry, like a separate topic now, but
That's okay. There's really no structure to this. Let's just
but
dodgeball.
pair it's not WDBF. Like you only like individual ball count. There's 10 seconds. I would just pair up and just like. I don't think there should be one specific person on the court making all the calls for like, oh, you should throw together with him at that target. You should throw together with him at that target. Just like pair up quickly and just make effective throws, like as much as you can, as soon as you can, or like when you see an opportunity. I think that's it. Is it different for hot pot?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, I guess the way we're set up, Kevin and I think very alike when we're playing, and we have the same, like, I guess, ball priority, same targets and stuff. So he kind of deals with the left side, and I work with Sam or Kelvin on the right side.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
we both kind of take a look at what's going on, and then, like, let's say we have 3 balls, and the other team has 1 ball, and 2 balls are stuck like in the middle of nowhere. They can't get it. Usually we leave Kevin, and then I will pair up with whoever somewhere else.
Yeah.
I guess if you play with somebody long enough, you guys kind of get like the chemistry.
Yeah.
You know what works for us and what doesn't work.
Mhm.
What do you guys do on K-pop?
So what? It depends because if Ian is playing mid with ball, then it's totally different. But let's say he's playing support 5-6 with like either Jackie or Shane or Kevin.
Mhm.
I know he lets Kevin bomb first,
Mhm.
and then he watches Kevin's cross. So they just communicate in the sense of like they're not picking a target off the opening.
Mm.
Kevin just needs that space to bomb, and then Ian will just do his best to soak or cover.
Mhm.
But when it's Jackie and Kevin, they work together because they like to rush throw together, and
Okay.
they'll pick a target.
So the question now is, when there's only like, so when we're in the middle of the game and they're gonna throw together, like, how quick are these decisions made on who to throw at? And do you guys have like general miscommunication still, or the chemistry is pretty good now?
Wait, time for K-pop.
Yeah.
It's pretty good now. Well, look, for Jackie and Kevin, they've been playing together for years. So then they were just telling me that as soon as like they both get a ball, they just look at each other. They already know who they're gonna go for
Mhm.
first, or one of them just
Mhm.
says, or usually it's Jackie that's like this guy, and then they do their step and throw. But when Shane came in last season, new to the team and all that, it took a little bit of time for them to be like, hey, let's slow down, because Shane's more of a patient player, and then
Yeah.
Jack and Kevin are more like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So then
Mhm.
with Shane, it's like, okay, well, let's pick a guy and then we'll go after him, but let's use the whole 10 count and whatever. Yeah, so it's always different depending on what the lineup is. And there's still some fuck ups every now and then.
Mhm. What about
That's
for Spartans? Is it just like as chaotic as it seems, or is there a method to
No,
your madness?
we have a very intricate strategy. We just throw at whatever's
Pick a ball,
moving.
throw ball.
Whoever has the balls, whoever's closest to us, or if you see your teammate
Okay.
throwing, you have to throw. Very, very complicated strategy. But sorry, like you're talking about a situation where you have majority of the ball possession and what was it, distributing like who to throw with who on who, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Um, we're pretty simple when it comes to like who to go for. We're like we just go for the biggest threat on the other team. So like if you see your teammates winding up to throw, because we all have a pretty big wind up, it's really easy to like time it with any of our teammates.
Mhm.
We're just in sync. Like if you see, and we rarely throw crosses too. So if you see a team like if you see Matt or Mike or Coop or Nick Malika like charging and throw like winding up, most likely they're aiming for a target that's right in front of them. So like it's pretty easy for the rest of the teammates to throw and time it with them.
Okay.
It's really easy to be on the same page if you're willing to be aggressive and throw.
Yeah, I didn't notice that you kind of adopted their style.
I know I'm
And
so wild now.
yeah, you used to be like pretty patient, and now you just kind of throw and do things on your own.
Yeah, I'm on an identity crisis right now. Spartans changed me. I used to play patiently on Spartans, but week 1 or 2, like we got like 2 or 3 wins, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And they're like, no, keep on playing your game,
Everything.
keep on playing your game, be patient. And I'm like, should I play aggressive? Then we started getting like 12 or 13 wins, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I have to destroy my ARB every week in order for the team to do well. But thanks to that, my throwing game improved. But need to learn how to play patiently again.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else anybody wants to talk about?
I thought there was a third one.
Yes.
The community and competitive or whatever.
Yeah. How do you guys find like the balance between the community versus like being competitive in VDL? Do you find it hard to be like super hyper competitive because we're a league based like built on community and being nice to each other?
I see it, for me, I see it in two ways. There's regular season and there's playoffs. Regular season, I don't go hard in general just because I don't want to get injured. But in playoffs, it competitive level goes like up the roof. The respect of the community kicks in afterwards in terms of like when we're done playing, and even like before we start playing. But once it's there, it's playoffs, right? That's what we pretty much play for. But regular season for me, it's just like it's all fun and games. I'll use my left hand or whatever every now and then, or I'll throw underhand. But I'm not there to like kill you because I'm not really. I don't want to put all that effort in there. It's like 10 weeks and playing 4 nights, so it's not. Yeah, for me, it's not really about the community or competitive. It's just this is regular season and then this is playoffs. But I don't know what you guys think.
For me, it goes hand in hand, community and competitive. Just because it's regular week for me, like, of course, like I need to pace my arm because it's a lot of dodgeball for me. I'm playing for 5 teams this season, and on the side we have like 7-inch practice and also like subbing for VDL 7-inch. But I don't know. I guess it's just my personality. Like I make a lot of commitment and sacrifices when it comes to like time and money, like going all the way to Vancouver for dodgeball. So I just want to make the most out of it. I want to play well, but you know, not with the price of other people's safety or other people's experience too. I want it to be like a good mix of competitiveness and fun. So for me, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first
you-
got into the league, I found. Sorry. Yeah, when I first got into the league, I found it kind of weird how, you know, uh, everybody's so like friendly with each other. Like you just play against them, and then like next thing you know, you're like chatting it up with them.
Yeah.
That was just a very foreign thing to me. And even now, like I think about it, I'm like, you know, there's not a ton of like friendly trash talking, like not even like mean trash talking, but like friendly trash talking. I don't know. I think the league's a little bit too nice sometimes.
Oh, okay.
I do miss like trash talking people.
That's why you have Wrath.
Yeah, not malicious.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes the night a little bit more fun. You know, you gotta be able to laugh at yourself and laugh at each other a little bit, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think
It's hard.
you still see that every now and then, especially with like teams that rival each other usually. Like for example, I know Recess and Mo Resets, when they play each other, they usually have a pitcher bet, something like that. So yeah, they don't like verbally. Well, I mean they actually like trash talk each other verbally, jokingly and stuff, but they put something on the line still when they play. So that's almost like a form of trash talking while still enjoying the community. But I guess for the most part, there's not a lot of trash talking within the community just because like at the end of the day, after the night, you're probably gonna go drinking with that person or that team anyways.
Got it.
Okay. Like, you can't really expect people to, like, understand your humor, too, right? Like, you really
Yeah.
have to know that person really well, because, like, a lot of people, they can be, like, they can take it the wrong way or be sensitive, like, if they don't know you too well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Last week for Thursday, I think it was Hot Pot, Mon, Spartans, and what was the other team? Mo Resets. That was a really fun
Resets.
night. Yeah, because we all knew each other.
Yeah.
We were dicking around. When Mike Kennedy caught Raph's ball, he started like licking his lip and took off his hat to like comb his hair backwards.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
When it was really like bullshit clutch lucky catch, and when you were last one on the court and all the hot pot guys were watching you, I was reffing and I'm like, okay guys, be ready to do high fives.
We lost that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. You died on the floor. But I don't know, like friendly taunting, that kind of like friendly trash talk, it's okay. Like if it's your friends and if other people that are listening to it know that you guys are on a good term, but I don't know. Like that's why Thursday is always fun for me, because like you guys have a really good, well-established community. You guys know each other. Even if you guys are being like you guys have, what was it? What did you say earlier? Just like a friendly intent, just like messing around with each other. I
Yeah,
guess.
not malicious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that can only come with having the community, a really good like foundation to the community part.
Yeah, I agree. I think more people should come out to pub night and hang out with each other outside of dodgeball. I think when people are hanging out outside of dodgeball, then you actually get to know them. So I encourage everybody to go out to pub night.
Yeah.
Is pub night set already, or?
I have no idea.
I think Leslie and people started planning.
Oh, okay.
But no official dates are announced even to the execs yet.
Oh, okay.
Or to us at least.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to say?
No, I think it's pretty much nailed it. I don't know. For me, I'd like to focus on our community as much as I can, like on the regular week basis, and definitely get more competitive as when playoffs come around, right? But you don't still want to lose that community, just like being friendly and everything. You just want, I don't know, just be all around like community based sport, and like just be nice. I don't know. That's a big thing for me.
Be a nice guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
And still to this day, I don't really know how much of a trash talk Enzo can take. So sometimes when Raph is going all out with the trash talk towards you, like in the corner of my mind, I'm like, oh, what if Enzo is actually really hurt? Sometimes.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Hey man, if you dish it, you got to take it.
Okay. That's why I keep myself subtle, because I don't want to take like overload trash, especially from people that I don't really know. Like if they start doing that, I'm like, oh, I don't want that. Yeah, because like when you started doing that on the podcast, a lot of boss people thought you were mean.
Yeah. I have that effect on people.
So every action that you do comes with a price. If you're willing to pay for it, go for it. But if it's with your friendly, if it's with your friends, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think people just didn't know, like, I guess how close I was with the hot pot guys when I started trash talking them.
Yeah.
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 Well, at least like
Doesn't
a lot
help
of us
that I
here.
was speaking the truth.
Yeah. The balance between being a competitive league, but also being.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Anything that's come up recently?
Come up recently? Mine's gonna be like whole separate podcast, so it's okay. But what was it? Just curious. Like when you came up with these three things, was there any like did something happen? Was it like did something happen recently, or like was it always bothering you, or is there like one specific event that kind of like raised awareness or like raised the concern? That's the word.
No, not really. These are just, I don't know, things I thought we could talk about and discuss. The first one came about on Monday night. I was talking.
Sorry. The first one is gender role, so female and male.
Yeah.
Go on.
That came up Monday night. I was talking to. I don't remember her name. She she just started playing VDL recently. She plays the 7-inch.
7 inch.
And
Chili
yes, yes,
Angelica. Angelica. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
yeah. So I was just talking to her. I was asking her like about what she thinks about VDL, and then she brought up the idea of gender roles and that she doesn't like it because she throws a lot. And I guess uh,
Yeah.
that got me thinking about gender roles and uh, how she would like see that as gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I see it as just roles, and it happens to be. I mean, like Lily throws a lot, right? Like Monica
Yeah.
throws a lot. Nikki throws a lot. Um,
Thing is, like with
I think it's
Lily,
just playing to your strengths, right?
yeah, Lily does have a great throw. That's like when she tries to pass me off a ball on Wednesdays. I'm like, nah, man, just take it, just go nuts. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't want to restrict anybody from throwing and playing the game of dodgeball, right? Right.
Yeah.
That's a big
I
thing.
do
Like,
hear. Go on.
no, just go ahead.
Yeah. No, I do hear stories of like sorry, just like I I don't think bad is the right word, but like very enforcing captains that kind of enforces the team not to do this, only do this,
Yeah.
and I really I disagree with that idea.
I as well.
Yeah.
And if by any chance that she is listening to this podcast, I do acknowledge that I may have came off as dismissive, but I was just being awkward and
Mm,
I didn't know how to respond, so I made a joke, but I can see how that could have been dismissive and ignorant, and I apologize.
okay.
Who's this?
Angelica.
Oh,
What did you do? What did you do, Enzo?
No,
You never
I
apologized on podcast before. You must have done something horrible.
no, she brought up like how she didn't like the idea of like gender
gender.
roles that, and then I was like, oh, I see that less of a gender role and more of the people that get to throw, like have good throws get to throw. Like my team doesn't allow me to throw. And then Carson was there too, and he's like, yeah, me too. And then like how I just joke about everything, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a genuine concern from her, so I could see how that come off as dismissive and rude.
She's like, this asshole's fucking.
Yeah, ask me for my opinion and then fucking joke about it.
Oh, here's the
yeah,
thing.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
go on. No, go.
Okay, so what really like I'm going to bring this a Family Guy's term. What really grinds my gears is like when you have at least yourself and two more of your teammates on the court, and then you're holding two balls. You're not passing a ball down to another teammate. I'm like, why would certain players? I don't know. I've seen it like too often sometimes. I'm like, you have bodies on, like, you have people with you on your team. Like, why aren't you showing the love, like giving everybody a ball at the same time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I was
it's just-
guilty of doing that too.
Some people just don't have the court awareness to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And also sometimes like you pick up the balls at the same time, so you don't want to pass like the burden of a count onto somebody if it's kind of low.
I think
'Cause by the
I
time
think
you-
the complete opposite of that one. Like if it's the exact same time, I would pass it. If one ball is about to run out, a ball count, I would hold on to both balls though.
yeah.
For me personally, but yeah, go on, Enzo.
No, fair enough. Yeah, it's just kind of the burden of the count, right? You don't want to pass a ball to your teammate and then they block with a dead ball. That's mostly my opinion, though.
Yeah. For me, like it does really help your teammate if you spread the balls as soon as possible.
Oh yeah.
If your teammates aren't doing that, I can only think of two reasons. Well, not aware, so lack of court awareness, like doesn't know your teammates need a ball, and it would help your teammate. Or like very selfish example is like that team doesn't really have good chemistry or like have good like doesn't well this is just a really bad example, but doesn't have faith in you that much. If they're doing it on purpose. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
happens
guess,
a lot.
well, I
that's
guess
like
with
an extreme example.
with a faith thing, if they don't have faith in you, that means they haven't given you enough time to throw with them with the team. I don't know. It just really bothers me often. Like, there's someone on right beside you. They're literally like 5 feet away from you. You have two balls. Pass the extra
Yeah.
ball down, right? Especially
Yeah.
like if they're facing one more person on the court on the opposing side, they're holding two balls, and they got cut out, and now they lost the ball, and the other opposing team brought some back in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know.
agree.
It's just,
Yeah. If it does go down to the second one where the person is purposely not passing the ball because he doesn't have faith in you,
yeah,
in my opinion, he failed as a teammate too, because like that's something that they should have worked on during regular season.
yeah. Well, I see this in
Building,
regular season, anyways.
yeah.
So that's the thing.
Well,
I
like
don't know.
foundation, building that foundation of trust, and if like you should give the other player opportunity to throw together during regular season,
Yeah.
so you feel comfortable enough for playoffs on whatever they're going to do and be on the same page. So by doing that, I feel like that person failed himself or herself as a teammate too.
Hmm.
But yeah, sorry, going
Oh.
back. Yeah, sorry, going back to it. So when you said how to improve efficiently and what holds players back from being tier one, was there a specific story on that one too, Enzo, or no?
No, just I don't know. Like I want the league to grow. I want people to get better.
Do a lot of
And I
people
don't
come
know.
up and
It's
ask you guys
no man. Nobody
for
comes
tips?
up to talk to me.
Because you're the mean one. Because you're the mean one.
Yeah, probably. Nobody comes up to talk to me, but that's
Yeah.
cool. I probably wouldn't either. You're not missing out on much.
Oh no, Enzo. Have more confidence. The OG Enzo is back.
Sure.
Would you?
No, just yeah. Go ahead.
I was just wondering. Would you say what's holding a lot of people back, and because they're not getting picked up, is because a lot of tier one players already have their team set for the next season or two, and would that be a factor in people not being picked up because they don't? I don't have room on my Tuesday team. I already got the Tuesday team set. That sort of deal. I wish I could bring them on. That sort of deal. Would that be?
Generally speaking, a lot of the tier one teams make their team way earlier than tier two, tier three teams.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
so that might play a small factor, or like that might be a small reason why.
Yeah.
For me though, like I'm always down to play with like players that I haven't played with before.
Yeah.
I think this season itself, like I'm playing with seven new players, and in the past, like I played with people that has never played in VDL tier one before.
Okay.
But for me, like if I am picking up like new players to play, let's say like up and comers or like people that never played tier one level before,
Yeah.
like it has to be someone where like it doesn't have to be a carry like or like what was it, a genius when it comes to like being athletic and stuff. I just want to really have a good time and also like have a chance playing competitively, and I don't want it to sound condescending or anything, but like guaranteed a good time for me, because like I don't like just because that player is like really really good. If that player is an asshole, like I would never play with him. But if this player is like a really good friend of mine, but let's say has like a different mindset playing dodgeball, because I want to play competitively, but if that friend is like, oh no, I don't want to play, I'll just keep on passing the balls to you and you do something about it. I wouldn't want to play. I wouldn't want to make that effort to play with that person. But if it's someone fun, if they have that drive, and if they're like, if I do see that they're really putting in that effort, like I would always be down to play with them. So,
I think there's like maybe two groups to this. There's the older people, the older generation of dodgeball tier 1 players that they just want to play with their friends now. And then there's like the younger ones or the middle tier, or younger ones or middle age dodgeball tier 1 players that are still open to experiment and play with new players.
I'm not aged.
Because
which one are you guys?
I'm among the older ones.
Oh,
I'm still trying to play with a lot of people.
yeah. Good. James, you broke a lot of people's heart.
No, I meant age-wise. I'll play with.
Oh,
I'll play with.
25?
Just turned.
Oh, okay.
Happy birthday, please.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm still playing with a lot of new people this season that I haven't played with before. But yeah, from like, I would always hear in the past and whatever, like, oh, a lot of the tier 1 players just always play with the same people and whatnot. Well, it's like, yeah, because for the most part, it's their friends, so they want to play with their friends.
Especially on like Thursday nights too, right? That's a big.
Yeah,
thing.
Thursday is like a write-off. Those are like the established teams, so good luck trying to build a team there with top tier 1 players. Well, yeah, I think that's one of the things. It's just they play with their friends, and then there's the other people that would be open still.
Yeah. Any opinion, Gino and Enzo? Because I know. Wait, sorry, just trying to remember. I know Gino actively. Well, like I see Gino playing more with let's say newer faces in tier 1, but I always see Enzo playing with like familiar faces in tier 1. So.
Oh, snob.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's because fucking nobody agrees to play with me except for those same people. I'm like, hey, you guys want to play? They're like, yeah, maybe like in a couple of years. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
They completely forget about it.
Yeah, man. It's not because I don't want to, it's because I can't.
Okay.
I don't choose to be captains of my team, it's because nobody asked me to play. So I have to ask people to play.
Okay. I'm sorry, Enzo. I'm sorry.
I'm not even joking, dude.
I feel like I just like
Triggered.
pressed the trigger switch. Yeah.
Pinched a nerve.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
For me, like I like playing with new players because, like, you know, just like I like. Okay, let's say I think for every season I've played, I've always had at least one good fun team to play on, like a team that you don't have to like go 100% at, right? So like let's say for my Wednesday, Thursday team, those are like my staple teams right now because I've been playing with Cookies and Cream for like last 2-3 seasons, and then Suck It with like 6 seasons. So there's like very staple competitive team. Yet I always have like at least one team of the nights. I think right now it's like on Tuesdays. I'm on adjustable knobs, and I just like I don't know. I've always wanted to play with those guys too. But like I know I've pictured that to be a fun team, and they do have for me like they have the potential. I don't know. Just like I don't know. Just like playing with new people once in a while. It just breaks up like the whole mold of just like being always too competitive, that sort of deal.
Yeah. Cool.
I
I
think
don't
for,
know a lot of people on the.
for next year, I know because I told like they already know this. Like, I told Joseph like it's gonna be just a 1 season thing. So like I guess Tuesdays is like a team like that just like to pick up on once in a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of, like, I guess, older players I had never played with.
Mm-hmm.
That I haven't had a chance to play with. Like, I've never played with Gino. And I've only played with James once.
Yeah.
On Super Mario Ballers.
Super Mario Ballers.
Super random.
Yeah, Hey, you guys got very
Yeah.
far that season, though.
Came third.
Yeah,
They got far pretty often.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah, they're pretty good.
they have really good ball control. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've only played with Sung once. It was just a
And
bunch of people I
few
have.
tournaments, yeah.
Yeah, tournaments don't count.
Okay.
Yeah, you need a whole
Uh,
season.
Yeah, and like I've only played with. This is the first time I'm playing with Jay, and I've only played with Titus once. I don't even know if I played with Titus before. I don't remember.
I don't think you have.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe one of the draft ones.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, there's still a lot of like I guess older players that haven't not older, but like long-standing tier 1 players that I haven't had a chance to play with yet.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And we're at that stage where like a lot of them are starting to cut it short or like take it
Yeah.
easy and take shorter nights. So I think a lot of us are. Well, for me, like I'm kind of panicking. I'm like, oh, that person is leaving. I gotta play with him. Oh,
Yeah,
that
the
person's
window's
leaving.
closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So glad I got to play with Rob.
Yeah, I've never played with Rob.
I never played. Hey, you played with Rob? What team?
I've
Team
never.
Asia.
Sorry?
Oh,
Team Asia.
Oh, right.
Team leftovers. Oh, Team Philippines. Oh,
That's-
Team
that's
China.
Team Philippines.
Team Vietnam. Team Asia. What?
Philippines was just a problem. Everyone was just late.
Did you guys have like 20 people?
Hey,
And four-
14.
And we had like, and it was like
How much team fees you guys pay that
I
season?
know,
Like $30?
the funny part was like at least only 4 of us showed up most of the time,
Yeah.
and then everybody played on playoff day.
And we were still looking for subs sometimes. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed our first ever podcast type of review tonight. Let us know what you think about this new format that we're trying out. If you think it's good, if you guys like the regular videos better, or if you have any ideas that we can possibly try out again for next time. We will probably do this again another time just to see if we can improve on it. If you have any ideas on what we could be talking about as well, let us know. Give us all much positive or negative reviews as possible, and we can improve on it. Do you guys have any last minute words, guys?
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like,
Yeah.
Hey.
hey,
Getting cold outside. Make sure to stay warm.
yeah, and keep playing dodgeball.
With community in mind.
Yes.
Season 28. Woo!
Season 28. All right, so we'll see you guys
Please come
soon.
talk to me.
Talk to Enzo.
Talk to Enzo.
Make a team with Enzo, and talk trash with Enzo.
Yay.
Yeah. Get
Trash.
to know him first, though. He has feelings too. Okay. Good night,
All right.
guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Signing
See
off.
ya.
Later.
Bye.